I began 2020 with a shop tour showing my biggest remodel in 19 years. So I thought it'd be fun to start out 2021 with an update and show you how my shop has changed over the past year. And that's an important thing to embrace. A thriving woodworking shop is always evolving and adapting to your needs and your goals. Be open to change and opportunities to improve your workflow. This is a two-car garage built in 1956. It measures 19 feet by 19 feet. It's about 360 square feet. I'm really grateful that I've never had to park cars in here or use it as a storage space. And I know that for many of you, even this is a big space, so I try to keep mindful of that reality and structure my shop with realistic organization and workflow techniques that'll work in any small shop. And as a quick reminder, if you feel frustrated trying to organize your small shop into a more productive workspace, or if you're wanting to set up your first workshop from scratch, my online course, The Weekend Workshop, is the solution you're looking for. It's my step-by-step system that covers everything from workflow and organization to air quality and lighting and much, much more. Plus, I've got lots of plans and step-by-step videos showing you how to build basically all of the space-saving stuff you see in my shop. Get all the information you need over at theweekendworkshop.com. One thing that's worth trying here right at the start at the beginning of the new year is performing an honest assessment of how well your shop is working out for you. Think about the projects you've made and if the workflow was ever an issue. Did you find yourself making a lot of unnecessary steps back and forth from, say, your table saw to your workbench? Try rearranging the furniture and see if it works out better for you. Take a look at your workbench and all the horizontal surfaces in your shop. Are there tools and other junk that just always seems to be there? Chances are these things need homes. Consider making cabinets or other dedicated storage spaces for all of your homeless tools. One of the problem areas that I've identified this year are these shelves. It's kind of like a flop house for certain tools that, you know, they just need more stability in their lives. I guess one thing I can do is get rid of the tools that I don't need. Now let me take you over here. This area is still a problem area. It's where my dust collector and shop vac are usually parked, which makes accessing this cabinet always a challenge. As a result, I don't keep a lot of stuff in here. It's mostly stuff that I don't even need. Maybe I don't even need this cabinet anymore, but this is something that I need to address. I'm really happy that I moved my mobile miter saw stand over here to keep it grouped with my table saw and bandsaw. Well, and by bandsaw and table saw, it's just my table saw now. You may notice that I don't have a bandsaw any longer. That one was never a good tool. It was one of those cheap Harbor Freight deals, and it was wobbly and it was real frustrating to use. I don't recommend those Harbor Freight bandsaws at all. Unless you've got a lot of patience, I suppose. I ended up giving it to a viewer of the show, and hopefully he has a lot better results with it than I did. I'd kind of like to get a new bandsaw, but I'm not in any hurry. Honestly, I've been without it for about 6 months now, and I haven't had too many instances where I really wished that I had one. I mean, I guess for the most part, anytime I've needed to make a curved cut, I've just been using my jigsaw, and I've been having pretty good results with that. I guess having a bandsaw would be handy for resawing, but even that I can do in other ways. I don't know, I'll probably still end up getting one. In its place are my weight training bench and my dumbbells. When the gyms closed early on in the lockdown, I began reconfiguring my shop to include a home gym. It was the first time in 20 years that I've used my shop for any kind of secondary purpose. I hope we'll get to the point where I don't need this in my shop anymore, but for now, it's not a bad system. Since everything in my shop is on wheels, I can easily just roll my workbench out onto the driveway and convert the floor of my shop into a gym. I've got a rug and a yoga mat in my crawl space that I can lay out right in the middle of the floor. And you know, even if the world ever does get back to normal, I'm gonna keep my pull-up bar here because it's not in the way of anything and it's just really in a handy location. One of my favorite things I made during the lockdown was this drill press stand. I just absolutely love this. I love the way this turned out. You guys helped me out a lot in designing this one last summer. Finally, my drill press is at a comfortable height and I have all of my Forstner bits in a single location. And I love having it parked right here, right near my drill and driver station. Oh, and I finally have a home for my compressor and all of its accessories. And of course, since the whole stand is on wheels, I can just roll this out to wherever I need it. It's especially handy when using my brad and pin nailers. I still really love my drop-down work table, but I almost always have it in the down position. I don't close it up that often, and since it's open, it tends to collect odds and ends. I cleaned it up before this video. I want to stay more diligent about closing this up when I'm not using it. And it'll kind of force me to put things away where they belong and help keep me more organized. Last fall, I started upgrading my router table cabinet. I love the drawers that I made in here for my router bits. That's something I wish I had done a long time ago. I can't believe that my router bits were always in a different location. After all these years, I'm still working on putting things that go together in the same location. But that's the good news about the router table. The bad news is I haven't finished upgrading the other drawers or replacing this insert on top. The back of the cabinet is still pulled off and it's just sitting here on the floor. This is just one of those nagging projects that it eats at me because I feel like I've abandoned it. I hope to get back to this soon. If you haven't noticed, the other thing I need to find is a solution for my makeshift podcasting booth on top of this router. I've been propping my laptop up on here since we started the podcast a few months ago. I usually have a microphone here, but it's up in my office. I desperately need to come up with a more permanent location for this because it's also a pain whenever I want to use my router. I've got to take all of this off of it. I'm not sure what I want to do with this roll-around cabinet. I made this one about 10 years ago. I used to have my drill press on it and it was just way too high for the drill press and it was really top heavy to move it around. I mean, right now I keep kind of assorted hand tools and hardware and kind of other junk in it, but it just seems to take up too much space and I always have to wheel it out of the way when I want to use my pull-up bar or get to my crawl space. But I just had an idea that since I don't need to access the stuff in these drawers that often, I'm kind of thinking about building a new cabinet to replace that green one over in the corner, and then I can get rid of this one. Those of you keeping up with the show may remember that I moved this utility cabinet over here a few months ago to use for finishing supplies. Now with my mobile finishing cart, my sink, and my spray paints, this entire corner is fully dedicated to finishing, and I like it. I think it's really fun to record the changes in my shop from year to year. I'm curious to see what it's gonna look like in 2022. Talk to you guys later.